Hey there, space fans, and welcome back to Pulsar Pioneers, the channel where we dig past the textbooks and into the real, messy, mind-blowing stories of humanity's journey to the stars. I'm your host, and today we're going somewhere special. The space race between the United States and the Soviet Union is one of those chapters everyone thinks they know. Sputnik, Yuri Gagarin, Neil Armstrong's one small step. But the real story? It's weirder, funnier, more ambitious, and way more human than the highlight reel ever shows. From African school teachers with oil drum rockets to secret nuclear plans on the moon. From playgrounds built like spaceships to billion-dollar mistakes that accidentally helped win the Cold War. These are the chapters most people never hear. Today we're counting down 10 amazing things you probably don't know about the space race. Every single one is backed by historical records, declassified documents, and fresh perspectives from historians and participants. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's launch into the countdown. Starting at number 10. 10. Zambia's wild dream to beat the superpowers to the moon. Picture this. It's 1964. Zambia has just won its independence from Britain. The whole country is buzzing with possibility. And one man, a former freedom fighter turned science teacher named Edward Makuka Nkoloso, decides his brand new nation is going to the moon, before America, before the Soviets. Nkoloso founded the Zambia National Academy of Science, Space Research and Philosophy and recruited 12 Afronauts. Among them was a sharp 17-year-old girl named Martha Mwambwa. They even talked about sending cats to Mars later. Money? None. Government support? Lukewarm at best. The UN, the US, the Soviet Union, and Israel all ignored his funding letters. So Nkoloso got inventive. Training happened in an old oil drum. Recruits climbed inside while it was rolled down hills or spun around a tree to simulate the chaos of launch and re-entry. To prepare for the moon's low gravity, they practiced walking on their hands, because, as Nkoloso explained, that's how humans would actually move up there. He even built a prototype rocket called D-Kalu-1, a 10-foot metal drum he claimed was space-worthy. Launch day was set for Zambia's Independence Day at the National Stadium. Permission was denied. The program slowly fell apart. Trainees wanted salaries. 2 of his best men disappeared on a drinking spree. Another joined a local dance troupe. And Martha Mwambwa got pregnant and had to step away. Nkoloso blamed imperialist neo-colonialists who were supposedly terrified of Zambia's space knowledge. He once told reporters with a straight face, "I'll be laughing the day I plant Zambia's flag on the moon." Was it serious science or the boldest publicity stunt in history? Historians still debate it. President Kenneth Kaunda later called it more for fun than anything else. But the dream was real, a newly independent African nation refusing to be left behind. Today, those grainy training photos have become legendary. Artist Christina de Middel turned the Afronauts into an iconic photo series that tours the world. Nkoloso's story isn't just a footnote anymore. It's a powerful reminder that space belongs to dreamers everywhere, not just superpowers. What a way to kick off our countdown! 9. Why astronauts, cosmonauts, and taikonauts have different names. Ever wonder why Americans are astronauts, Russians are cosmonauts, and Chinese flyers are called taikonauts? It all started because the 2 superpowers refused to share even a single word. When the US created NASA, they settled on astronaut, Greek for star sailor. Poetic, right? The Soviets wanted their own identity. They chose cosmonaut, universe sailor. It was a deliberate linguistic flex during the height of the Cold War. International crews still follow the host country's term. Fly on a Soyuz? You're a cosmonaut for that mission. Ride a Dragon? Astronaut it is. China entered the game later. Their official term is Hung Tianyuan, space navigator. But English speakers latched on to taikonaut, from taikong, meaning outer space, because it ends in that familiar naut and rolls off the tongue. The rivalry that split the sky also split the dictionary. Even language became territory in the space race. 8. Space-themed playgrounds that turned kids into future astronauts. 220. Here's something that'll make you smile. During the space race, both the US and the Soviet Union literally built the future on playgrounds. In America, you had rocket-shaped slides, satellite climbers, and planet swings. In the USSR, the equipment was tougher, designed not just for fun, but to build the physical strength and courage future cosmonauts would need. Kids were literally training for space without realizing it. Then the 1970s hit. The US created the Consumer Product Safety Commission. Suddenly, safety trumped imagination. Asphalt and dirt gave way to rubber mats. Many classic space-age playgrounds were torn down rather than upgraded. A whole generation of kids lost those rocket ships in their backyards. But the idea worked. Plenty of engineers and astronauts today say those playgrounds sparked their lifelong love of space. Sometimes the best recruitment tools aren't billboards. They're monkey bars shaped like Saturn V rockets. 7. The Soviet Union offered America technical help and got laughed at. December 6, 1957, the United States tries to answer Sputnik with its own satellite, Vanguard TV-3. Hundreds of reporters and TV cameras are watching live. The rocket rises 3 feet, then falls back onto the pad in a spectacular fireball. Newspapers immediately dub it Flopnik and Kaputnik. The Soviets didn't miss their chance. At the United Nations, a Soviet delegate politely offered the United States technical assistance, the same aid package reserved for developing nations. The US was mortified. They declined. But the propaganda victory for Moscow was huge. It showed the world that the country that had just launched the first satellite into orbit was now offering to help the backward Americans. Sometimes the biggest wins in the space race weren't technological, they were psychological. 6. The Soviets also planned to nuke the moon. Most people have heard of America's secret Project A119, the 1958 plan to detonate a nuclear bomb on the moon so the flash would be visible from Earth, proving U.S. technological might. What almost nobody knows is that the Soviet Union had an almost identical plan running at the exact same time. Under the codename Project E4, Soviet engineers wanted to land a probe on the lunar surface and set off a nuclear explosion. The goal? Prove they had reached the moon first and create a spectacular public demonstration of power. Early ideas even floated the dramatic image of a cosmonaut planting a flag and then triggering the blast. Both programs were quietly canceled. Scientists realized there's no atmosphere on the moon, so no dramatic mushroom cloud. Just a brief flash that might not even be noticed. Plus, the risk of the rocket failing and dropping a live warhead back on Earth was unacceptable. In the end, both nations decided a soft landing with humans would be a far greater achievement. The moon dodged 2 nuclear bullets in the late 1950s. 5. Some historians say the Soviet Union actually won the space race. Neil Armstrong's boot print is iconic. But if you tally up pure firsts, the Soviet Union dominated the early years. First satellite, Sputnik 1, 1957. First animal in orbit, Laika, 1957. First human in space, Yuri Gagarin, 1961. First woman in space, Valentina Tereshkova, 1963. First spacewalk, Alexei Leonov, 1965. First multi-person crew. The US finally answered with the moon landing, the ultimate symbolic prize. But the Soviets had racked up more technical milestones while America was still playing catch-up. Why did they fall behind? Money. The Soviet economy couldn't keep pouring resources into space while citizens needed food and housing. The US, with its stronger economy, could sustain the long game. So who really won? It depends on whether you value the flashy finish line or the steady accumulation of firsts. The debate still rages in history circles today. 4. Buzz Aldrin was supposed to be first on the moon. Ask most people who should have stepped onto the moon first, and they'll say Neil Armstrong. But during the Apollo program, plenty of insiders expected Buzz Aldrin to go first. In the earlier Gemini missions, the astronaut in the right seat, usually the pilot, was typically the one who performed the first spacewalk or exited the spacecraft. Aldrin was in the right seat of Apollo 11's lunar module. Then came the design twist. The LM hatch opened on the left side. That meant the commander, seated on the left, would naturally exit first. Aldrin would have had to awkwardly climb over Armstrong. There was real debate inside NASA. Aldrin's father even lobbied hard for his son. But in the end, tradition, command structure, and symbolism won. The commander goes first. Aldrin later admitted he was disappointed, but he accepted the decision with grace. The moon landing wasn't about individual glory. It was about the entire crew and nation. Still, it's one of those what-if moments that fascinates space historians. 3. The U.S. Air Force secretly wrecked NASA's space shuttle dream. The space shuttle was supposed to be revolutionary, a reusable spaceship that would fly weekly and slash costs to $20 million per flight. Instead, it flew only 135 times over 30 years, cost roughly $1.6 billion per flight on average, and killed 14 astronauts in 2 disasters. What went wrong? The U.S. Air Force. NASA's original design was smaller and more efficient. Then the military stepped in with a long list of demands: a massive cargo bay big enough for spy satellites, the ability to launch from California, fly over the North Pole to photograph the Soviet Union, and return to land in California after a single orbit. Those requirements forced NASA to redesign the entire vehicle: bigger wings, heavier heat shielding, stronger structure. The Air Force even got a brand new $4 billion launch complex built at Vandenberg Air Force Base that was never used. The shuttle became too expensive, too complex, and too dangerous for routine flight. Yet it still accomplished incredible things: launching Hubble, building the International Space Station, and, ironically, helping bankrupt the Soviet space program, as we'll see next. 2. The space shuttle accidentally bankrupted the Soviet space program. Here's the ultimate Cold War plot twist. The Soviets watched America's shuttle program with growing alarm. They assumed it was a secret military weapon. So they stole the plans. Not through spies breaking into vaults, but by simply downloading the unclassified NASA documents that were publicly available. They built their own near-identical copy called Buran, Snowstorm. It looked almost exactly like the American shuttle. It even flew once, completely unmanned, in 1988, and landed perfectly on autopilot. But the program was ruinously expensive for an already struggling Soviet economy. After that single flight, Buran was abandoned. The Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, and the entire program was canceled. One Buran orbiter was later destroyed when its hangar roof collapsed. The irony? Years later, an American shuttle docked with the Russian space station Mir, using the very docking facilities the Soviets had built for Buran. The technology they copied ultimately helped the US and Russia work together in space. 1. The space race was never really about space. It was an arms race in disguise. Here's the big secret hiding in plain sight. Every rocket that carried astronauts or satellites could just as easily carry a nuclear warhead. The Soviet R-7 rocket that launched Sputnik was originally designed as an intercontinental ballistic missile. The same technology that put humans on the moon could have delivered city-destroying bombs across oceans. When Sputnik beeped overhead in 1957, Americans didn't just worry about prestige. They worried the Soviets now had the ability to drop nuclear weapons on U.S. soil with almost no warning. That fear is what truly supercharged America's space program and led to the creation of NASA. The space race was the glamorous, peaceful face of a much darker nuclear arms race. Both sides poured billions into rockets, not just to explore, but to prove they could deliver death from the sky faster and more accurately than the other. In the end, the competition that gave us the moon landing also gave us the terrifying reality of mutually assured destruction, and the technology that still protects and threatens us today. And there you have it. 10 incredible stories that prove the space race was never just about flags and footprints. It was about ambition, rivalry, ego, creativity, and the messy, beautiful chaos of human beings reaching for the impossible. From Zambian oil drum astronauts to nuclear moon plans that never happened. From playground rockets to billion-dollar mistakes that accidentally helped end the Cold War. These are the chapters that make history feel alive. Which one surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. If this video blew your mind, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to Pulsar Pioneers, and ring the bell so you never miss our next deep dive. The universe is full of stories waiting to be told. Thanks for exploring with us today. Until next time, keep looking up. This is Pulsar Pioneers, signing off.